Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Mr. Shank, coming to you live from Walker Grant Middle School. And for this exit ticket number 3, again, we're going to be closing out as we work with a cone in this one. So, just like before, however, make sure that you are claiming it as your own and nobody else's. And it says, again, provided the word and letter bank above, fill in the blanks in the sentence below. So again, when using the formula for surface area or volume, just like before, you need to be able to use these variables with these terms. So, again, another way you can do it is if you want, you can say, all right, I need to use B, or big B, excuse me, capital B, big B, uppercase B, which is the area of the base, area of the base. Cross them out as you use them. I need to use H as my height. Please spell height correctly. And I need to use R as my radius. And just like before as well, I need to use L as my slant height. Alright. So, you have these labels in here. You want to make sure that you can trace and redraw that base. The reason why we do this is we want to make sure, okay, hey, what kind of shape do I have? What is my area of that base? And so that way I am very careful with it. So, going back. So let's trace that base and let's redraw. Let me shift this up. Let's redraw that base. And so if you notice, we have a perfectly drawn circle. And now, well, I need to go back to 5th grade, I guess, and I need to figure out, all right, how do I find the area of that circle? Well, it shows the picture here, and it kind of shows how it goes across the whole way. Well, that's going to be our diameter. So that 4 millimeters, that's our diameter. However, we need the radius. So what is going to be our radius for this? Well, it's just half of the diameter. So it's half of 4, which is 2. And so we can say that this radius here is going to be 2. Again, to find the area of a circle, it's going to be, again, big B, since it's our base, times pi times the radius squared. Plug in our values, so we're going to have B is going to be equal to that 3.14 times the 2 to the 2nd power. And doing that quick math for yourself, you have that 12.56. So now that we have the area of the base, we know we're good with that. What is our height for this? Well, I saw it. I'm actually going to steal this from somebody. Someone did this when they were solving it. They said, hey, I can turn this sideways so it looks a little bit more familiar to myself. And so I know that, hey, that vertical height is going to be that middle point, again, going from the vertex at the top to the center of the circular base. So that height, that vertical height, is going to be 8. Where the slant height, again, the outside height, is going to be 14. So let's actually label that for ourselves. We have that the slant, let's have it up here actually. Our slant height is going to be 14, and our normal height is going to be 8. Is there anything else that we need? Not quite, so we move on. So now we have our labels are done. So let's have that formula for surface area. And let's see here. We have surface area is equal to, let's bust out that wonderful formula sheet that we have for ourselves. And let's see if we can line it up. All right. So surface area is going to be equal to that pi times the radius squared plus the pi times the radius times the slant height. However, what I've been doing this year for ourselves is, since we already have this amount, again, we know that's the area of a circle, which is the area of our base, and so we can essentially sub this out to be that big B. That way we have less calculations. So let me actually write this for ourselves. Again, we're going to have the area of our base times, area of the base plus our pi times the radius times the slant height. Plug in our values for our variables. So we have 12.56 plus, we have that 3.14, our radius, which is 2, and our slant height, which is 14. Again, simplifying carefully, I have the following. I'm going to have at 12.56, that's going to stay the same because we want to be able to multiply first. So we have 12.56, and then we want to multiply these together. So we have 2 times 14 is 28. 28 times 3.14 is equal to 87.92. Add these two together, so we're going to have surface area is equal to these two added together, which gives us a grand total of 148 units to this. Let's actually back up, make sure you're labeling correctly. This is millimeters squared. All right. Again, make sure you are taking your time with this for yourself. So now let's do our volume. So let's kind of break this apart a little bit again. So we're going to have volume, and let's check the formula sheet as always, just in case we forgot. Well, we see that the volume is equal to, we're going to have pi times the radius squared times the height divided by 3. Again, I know that says 1/3 right there, and what a lot of people do, a common mistake, is they say, okay, hey, 1/3, they say that's equal to 0.3, which is incorrect, and so that's why we just divide by 3 at the end. Again, we can use the same strategy where we're saying this pi times the radius squared is the area of the base, or big B, and so that way it's a little bit simpler. So we have volume is equal to the area of the base times the height divided by 3. Again, this is a lot simpler for yourself. Plug in those values for those variables. So we have that 12.56 times the height, which is, let's find it, 8, all divided by 3. Again, we want to work in the numerator first, and so let's have 12.56 times 8. Oh man, same answer. That is odd. But we want to make sure that we can divide by 3 at the very end, and so we have the volume is equal to, as 33.49, and since we're working with pi, again, you only need to work towards the hundredths column, and so we can round, let's say 0.3, and again, we're rounding the hundredths, and since that's 4 and below, we let it go. So again, our answer is in total 33.49 millimeters cubed. Circle or box in your answer, that way it is easier to see for yourself. To double check my work, because I want to make sure I get it right the first time, because why do it at all if you get it wrong? Let's double check using that wonderful Desmos calculator. So we're going to type in our values and formulas for ourselves. So we have the following. Let's have, again, for surface area, we're saying, let's bump this over. We have that big B, the area of the base, and we have plus, and then we're going to have that pi. Let's have pi. Again, you can use the pi symbol or button here, but since we know it is just going to be 3.14, you can leave it like that, and times the radius times the slant height, which is L. Again, press enter to store it in there, and you can move on. And then again, our formula for volume is going to be the area of the base times the height divided by 3. Store it in there by pressing enter, and let's move on. So now, again, remember that we said that the area of the base, or our big B, is equal to, it's going to be that 3.14, and we're going to have, that's going to be times our radius. Let's actually keep it in parentheses, or let's just say our radius and then squared. So we hit enter. Now let's define some values that we need. So we need our radius, we need our slant height, and we need our normal vertical height. Again, plug in those values that we had. So we said the height is going to be 8, the slant height is 14, and the radius is 2. And notice, as soon as I type in my answer, or I type in that last value, it calculates it for us. Where 100.48 is our surface area, and this big long number is our volume. And so if I need to round, however, again, I can say, okay, let's make some space here. Let me see if I can make, there we go. So let's make some space. So I want to say, all right, I want to be able to round. So I can type in round if you want to, or you can hit that function tab, and you can say, I want to round. Where is that at? Round. And I want to say my answer. So I hit the ANS button, which is the answer button, because it's saying, all right, what was the most recent answer? What was this big long number? And so you say answer, and automatically it rounds it to the nearest whole number or integer. However, we want to round to the hundredths, and so we're saying that's the second column after the decimal. So we hit comma, second one, and we are done.